Hey folks, and welcome to Moneyman Towers. And again, my guest is Mark Keohane. Rather ominous, Mark, that we're both wearing black.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was appropriate given the magnitude of this weekend's task for the Springboks. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, but a huge challenge for the Springboks, and the additional pressure and expectant public again. I kind of disbelieve in New Zealand public. They lose one game and they're in crisis. We win one game and we're about to become world champions. The disparity between the two.
Yeah, I was reading the New Zealand Herald. It's got some great writers, you know. Comparing to us, after the Australia game, we were chatting about the ratings, all the ratings that the media were giving for various players. And you had a bit of an issue with some of those ratings, I believe, eh?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I take a guy like Keohane, and I just thought he was monumental against Australia. And he set the tone for that test match in the first 20 seconds. The defense he put in, put them under pressure. Beale throws the intercept pass. We're 7-0 up. Some of his counter-rucking, and he leads by example, not necessarily in terms of his mouth, but his actions. And it's the kind of player the All Blacks respond to and the All Blacks respect. And interesting to look at the press conferences this week, where everyone was talking about Malcolm Marx as being the most influential Springbok forward, and the All Blacks responded and said, Keohane is your most influential forward. And it's again, sometimes they say that ultimate prophet's never recognized in his own country, and it goes back to people wondering in the beginning, was he there because of the color of his skin? Was he there? Was it a political appointment? It was very much an appointment made because he's one of the three best loose forwards in the country. And I just find he grows in stature every time. The nuances that he's got to work on is his interaction with referees. But you look at Richie McCoy in 2007, he was inexperienced. He kind of grew into that role. Kieran Reid the same. So this whole thing that people on the ratings, he got given a 6 by most people, and it was that he's not a fetcher, and that he gave away a certain 7 points by not offloading to Willie LaRue. He never saw that speedster coming from behind, and had he offloaded, that speedster's angle change would be onto Willie LaRue, and there's no guarantee he would have scored from 30-40 meters out. But there's certain players in this country that get an 8 regardless. Malcolm Marx, I think, is a wonderful player, but there have been issues with his line-out throwing all season. I think they missed another 2 vital line-outs in the red zone, the 22 area.
Well, he's got no career in darts after rugby.
No career in darts, yeah. But he was given an okay. They say, but for that 2 missed throws, an 8. Kolisi, if he only didn't give away the 7 points, a 6. And that kind of perpetuates when you go on social media. You see how people respond to it. You know, Dejanti can do like he'll make a great tackle, but it's he shouldn't have given away the card, which was debatable as well. Esterhuiz, I thought, was so one-dimensional. They thought he was outstanding. You go on social media, so I get a real issue when I see the prejudice that comes to the fore when we look at some of the players, and then also again, everyone, it was a scrappy game, an awful game. I thought it was a bloody good test match. Australia played well. That second half, Australia had 75% of the ball. We were down to 14 men. We defended courageously. It was a good test match, and Australia's not a bad side. Forget the ranking that they're on at the moment.
Who would you rather be, Checker or Erasmus?
Well, I'd rather be Rassie with 5 from 9 and having beaten the All Blacks than be Checker with 2 from 10. And he just kind of thinks that life's well, life will move on.
How does he have a job?
Well, they've given him the guarantee till the World Cup, regardless of what happens. And he's... they somehow pox that World Cup, and they're a side that does that. They get to 2003, Eddie Jones took 50 points against the All Blacks, struggled against the Springboks, got to the World Cup, got to the semi-final, somehow knocked over New Zealand, and then took England, the informed team for the last 4 years, took them into extra time and needed a Johnny Wilkinson special with 30 seconds to go. So they've kind of put that faith in them. They're also a nation that will disregard the last 4 years if they do get their World Cup win. And because rugby union's 4th, 5th on the agenda when it comes to the public psyche there, a guy like Shecker gets away with it. It's not this every Monday he's on the back page. There's rugby league, there's AFL, there's cricket. And while you've got Shane Warne telling you how he completely hates Steve Waugh at the moment again, and that they just don't speak anymore, that takes the back pages. So that takes a bit of pressure off them. You keep on saying that. You've said that to me for the last decade. South Africans don't know how to lose, and they certainly don't know how to celebrate. When last have we won back-to-back games against New Zealand and Australia in a rugby championship/Tri-Nations? We did that. And we did it on heroic defense, blokes playing for that jersey, showing the hunger, and let's just enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, you make some great points. That's my problem with this week, is that one of the rules that I have in betting is never back a team that has just gotten wins based on sheer, thrown everything at it. This Bok team, without doubt, shown massive improvement this year, and the depth. I like the way that they're developing the depth of the team. But this weekend is going to be a different game, I think, and I'll tell you why. Here's why. Simply put, a team that gets the victories by the manner in which they've gotten them over the last 3 weeks is not a team that's controlling play. They're very much they're defending heroically. They're making tackles, but I mean, how many more tackles did they make than New Zealand? 160, 140?
160.
160 tackles more than New Zealand. And Australia, they made
I think 80
to 60 to 80 more tackles than Australia. I think that when you've put your heart and soul into two victories, that it's tough to ride that wave. It's not like the '98 Boks where they're controlling things. You know they're going to come there and win. Yeah, there's a renewed belief, but as you pointed out to me the other day, we're 1-5 at Loftus against the All Blacks.
Yeah, the last time we won at Loftus was 1970, when they did come here with a big reputation. We won that series. But all the other performances in the professional era have been big wins. You think two specifically with the 52-16 win in 2003 and then the 45-26 win in 2007. Comfortable wins for the All Blacks. They reckon it's the fastest paced track that they can play on. They've always argued if they could roll that one up and take it around the world, no one would touch them, okay? Yeah. So, and they won that famous first ever series, 33-26, against a bloody good Springbok side at Loftus. The famous imagery of Sean Fitzpatrick pounding the floor as they heroically defended their line for the last 5 minutes with that surge of Springboks like coming at them. And if you go back and you look at that Springbok team back in the day, I think it's only in hindsight that we realize how good that Springbok team was as well. So they love playing at Loftus, contrary to how they used to hate playing at Ellis Park. They've kind of broken that hoodoo in the last few years. So it wasn't an altitude thing, it was more the kind of the essence of the place. And they see it as the cathedral of rugby in South Africa. They love the stadium, the players love the rarefied air, and just how far that ball travels, you know. So I think it's going to be a cracking test match in terms of intensity and that. But agree to your point that even though they've won the rugby championship, they have come here with a bit of motivation and a bit of a mission. And it's the first time I've seen All Black players talk with such intent in a long time about a test match. You had Ryan Crotty at a press conference yesterday saying, enough from my mate Cody Taylor, I'll take him over Marks any day of the week. Yeah. So that's not like an All Black thing to say. Saying we gave the Boks the win, they took it, they deserved it, we gifted them 14 points, it won't happen again. We kind of missed 4 kicks at post, it's not going to happen again. So they kind of putting the pressure back on the Boks and saying to them, come and beat us because you're a better team, not because we didn't play well. Steve Hansen says they won up in the Freedom Cup. We got everything to play for. Rugby Championship is gone. So
it must be a dream of most rugby players to win the Freedom Cup.
Exactly. And funny enough, I hear the New Zealanders talking about the Freedom Cup more than our Blacks. Maybe it's because they have won it a few times. But I hear that it's a sold out. Loftus sold out. I think the last time that happened was when Derek Keohane was playing, or when Liflin was around. But that's always a great atmosphere. I know you're going to be at the game when you're taking 20 odd clients. It will be a good game, but I think realistically the strength of the two teams will come to the fore in this game. And the bookies, I think, what are the bookies' odds?
Bookies opened up 10.5 and they're 11.5. So it means that the New Zealand are strengthening in favoritism.
Yeah, and I think once the teams get announced as well, you know, Hansen is playing. I look at some of if you look at the side they played against Argentina, it was very much their fringe players.
And they dominated.
They dominated them with their pack. You also see they rested Aaron Smith. Kieran Reid was rested. Sonny Bull only got 45 minutes. They were very impressed with how he played. I think you're going to see a different back three. It'll be interesting to see if they pick Mahunga on the bench.
Kieran Reid was sent to South Africa.
Yeah, he went straight to South Africa.
Where did he go? To Joburg? You must be wondering what he did wrong.
Yeah, he went straight to Sandton. They love Sandton, by the way. And so yeah, and then again, by more fortune and good luck than anything else, Luke Whitelock, who to me is not a test player, he's just a solid citizen. I think he would struggle to make one of our Super Rugby teams because where we are strong is in loose forwards. He got ill 2 days before the game, and Adi Sevier, who's been in and out, he's been on the fringe. They played him out of position number 8 and he was the superstar. And all of a sudden they think they may have found another dimension to their game by default. Mahunga came off for the last 22 minutes. He went to fly off and Bowden Barrett went to fullback, and they looked very different and very threatening. Again, I've always maintained Barrett is is a better fullback than he is a fly-half because he's the best athlete in the world. It'll be interesting to see if Jack Goodhue comes in. He's really got something special. But I think for now, they may just start with Crotty and Sonny Ball. It's a very different side that played against us in Wellington, different mindset. But the one player they will still miss is Brodie Retallick. That guy hasn't played against us he didn't play the Newlands Test, he didn't play the Wellington Test, he won't play Pretoria. He's an exceptional footballer and adds a lot to their pack. But they found a lot of depth with their front rowers. And
something that worried them last year, which was, they were concerned about the depth that they had there, and they certainly seem to have plugged that hole.
And if you look at, again, I saw Andre Pollard speaking about, we're not going to worry about what Barrett misses. It's what we have to do. So there is a belief in that Springbok side. They're feeling confident, they're feeling settled. But if I look at the two teams again, realistically, I would say the one team away from home is 10 points better, and at home, traditionally, they'll be 15 to 20 points better. That hasn't changed based on a wonderful result that we got in Wellington, because let's not forget the All Blacks scored 6 tries that day against us, and had some kicks gone over, had those 2 intercept passes not gone to hand, it may have been a very different looking scoreboard.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I was going to say something there, but I won't. So the perspective is the All Blacks haven't become a bad team overnight, and we haven't become World Cup winners overnight.
How many world-class players do you think we have now? And the reason I ask that question is, for me, being a Welsh fan, I know the sort of the threshold. You need, in my estimation, to become a really competitive team, around 7 world-class players. To be a dominant world-class team, you need about 10 to 11 world-class players. How many world-class players do we have, and who are they?
I think if you said to me, pick a World 15 today, I'd pick Boks at hooker.
Despite his
I still think at the moment he's the best hooker in the world. Cody Taylor's been playing very well.
So Marks
I'd pick.
Etzebeth?
I wouldn't pick him at the moment. I don't think he's got the consistency yet in his game and that enforcer. He's certainly not playing on a level of Retallick. He's improving, but he has been out for a year. Peter Steph du Toit has come to the fore in the last couple of weeks. He's at the cusp of going from that B tier to that A tier world-class player. Pollard continues to improve. He still has the potential to get into that A tier. It's not there yet. We have problems at 12, definitely. And Willie Leroux, I'd say, is probably top 3 in the world outside of Ben Smith and Folau. I'd say that he's in that top 3 bracket.
And Dwayne Vermeulen?
Well, I'm talking about who are playing on Saturday. Dwayne Vermeulen, definitely in the top 3, okay? So if you take, and Dejante's going to come. He's got something special about him. He's very much like a young Brian Habana. Still comes off his win, prone to being exposed. But
I think he's the best wing we've had since Habana.
Yes, and he's got all the attributes of Habana. He's exceptional pace, backs himself on terms of work rate, backs himself for the intercept every time, which at times exposes. If a good pass beats him, he will be exposed. He's going to concede the odd try, but he will get tries like Habana did that no one got. So the potential on this side, I would say, that by the time we go to the World Cup next year, there could be 5 out of 15 that you would say could make a World 15. And last year there wasn't one. And that's the improvement for me. At the moment, you would then say Dwayne Vermeulen definitely on the England series, and Marks definitely.
Yeah, I wasn't because we've always talked about this championship meaning nothing. You know, it's the World Cup next year, and so that's what I'm referencing is in the depth that he's created in the squad that we have. How many are world-class players? So you say that there's probably 3 with a few fringe players that are heading in the right direction. Yeah. I'd agree, with the exception of Etzebeth. I'd rate him as one of the best locks in the world.
No, he is one of the best locks in the world when you're talking just on current performance. And but without a doubt, I mean, once he's got his fitness back and he's playing well, you would want to categorize him with a Retallick. The only thing is the consistency we see in Retallick's game, that he does change games. And when you take Etzebeth out of the Springbok pack, it's not that they've been dysfunctional, but you take Brodie Retallick out of the All Black pack, you notice it immediately. So, but when you've got a Kieran Reid and a Brodie playing, and you've got an Eben and you've got a Dwayne playing, then you've got world-class matchups again. And that's what was lacking a bit last year when it came to the Springbok All Black thing. And it was interesting to listen to their comments, their players this week, is they said this game has never meant anything but the greatest rivalry to them. The public may have thought, because of the one-sided results, that their gloss had gone, but the players don't think that. No. And they certainly are giving it the respect. And Ryan Crotty is one of the more enlightened, functional and academically intelligent players. spoke very well at the press conference this week, and he said that they played poorly. The game management wasn't there from the All Blacks, and that's the lesson that they took out of it. But he also credited just how well South Africa played, and that he felt when they went 12-0 up, they believed their press from the 2 Australian tests, and they forgot to respect the Springboks and the intensity they always bring to a test. Yeah. And then they were 21-12 down.
No, and I think that Rassie has been a huge influencer on changing the culture, playing for the badge in the country. It's a different team. There is more peace about this team, and but let's we got a lot of millennials that watch, so we want to try and keep this. A lot of them are shifting in their beanbags as we speak. So let's get to the game. The bookies have the Boks, the All Blacks favored by 11.5. Are they right?
Yeah, I think they're spot on. I think there's 10 to 15 points difference in the side. I think that will play out in the game.
I think that it's going to be bigger than that. I think with, like you talk about, the fast pace, I think it might be a bit of a cricket score, something like a 45, 20, 25. I don't think the Boks will disgrace themselves. I think that they've given so much over the last 2 games that there's not much left to give in that team. It's going to be a tough game for them. I think that the backlash from the All Blacks is going to be pretty immense this week.
I don't think it was going to be as bad as 2003, and there's a nice little anecdote I'm going to tell you about that. So 2003, when I was with the Boks squad, I was in the coach's box that day when it all started going wrong, 52-16, okay?
For those young people out there that don't remember 2003, who's the coach?
Rudolph Stroily. He was the coach. John Mitchell was the coach of the All Blacks. And the interesting thing about that night was that it was Nelson Mandela's 85th birthday, and we were invited to it. Bill Clinton was there, Bono was there, the who's who of the world was there. And because Madiba had this great affinity for the Springboks, he had a special table for us. And there were 4 management and 4 players that were invited to it, and I was with their partners, and I was fortunate to be one of them. But we lost 52-16, and the function had started, and our game had ended, and we had a police escort coming back, and we tried to get into the function in the most low-key way until he gave the Keohane cricket and the team a standing ovation as we walked in on the basis of a 52-16 defeat. And his thing was, whether you won 52-16 or lost 52-16, you remain my heroes. That was kind of his message at his birthday.
He was a wonderful optimist, Mandela.
It was wonderful. So I think in light of that, have optimism when you go to Loftus. One thing you know that this Boks team is going to play. They've got mongrel, they've got attitude, and they've got ticker, and they play for each other and the jersey. I just don't know if passion alone this week is going to do it against a side that can't be ambushed. They're not going to be caught off guard because they are hurting from their defeat in Wellington. So I would say it will be a comfortable win for the All Blacks.
Comfortable? Well, 11.5 points is reasonably comfortable. We've got to make a choice because the handicap betting means that you have to make an educated guess. For me, I'm laying 11.5 points, so I'm taking minus 11.5, and I think that they're going to win by 20 plus. So I put $2,000 on that to win 3,900.
I would agree with you there. I would have to agree with you.
That's not something we do often.
No,
the other game, and again, there's no, we've got Australia versus Argentina, and we'll wrap this up pretty quickly. Argentina favoured against Australia. Now I know Australia have had a shocking championship, but there's no way that Argentina should be favoured.
There's no way Argentina should be favourites against anyone at home against the top tier teams, okay? Every time I've thought Australia's at the lowest point and Argentina will whip them in Argentina, Australia's gone over there and won quite comfortably. Yeah. They've actually struggled more at home than they have over there. So it must be the stakes that they get or the visual delights that they look at. I think Australia will win, and I think they will win with a little bit to spare, as the All Blacks did last week.
Well, every time Australia I think they can't get any lower, they dig to another level. They get the pickaxe out and go lower. It's been unbelievable to see. But in gambling, there's one axiom. Whenever you see something wrong with what the bookies have done, you've got to play it. Win, lose or draw. You've got to make the right bets. 11-10 on Australia, them as an underdog against Argentina. They're a better side. I'm sure they haven't played like it, but I like that. I like that for 2,000 to win 4,200 back. I'm going to take Australia to win outright in that game, meaning that they can't draw or lose. So for me, Australia You're right. Argentina they don't fear Argentina.
No, they don't, and they enjoy being in Argentina when they tour there. But just to come back to the Boks, and you know, I know Rusty's done an exclusive for SA Rugby magazine just on his report card on that, which is in the next issue, where it's important for people, win or lose, the Boks will end second in the Rugby Championship. They've beaten every one of the teams, which is something they haven't done for a while. I think outside of the actual differential, I mean, we'd all love it if another miracle happened. It would be the year of miracles.
Look, if I lost a couple grand, I'd gladly pay two grand to see the Boks win. You know, so to me, if at the end of the game the Boks are there and given a good account and have a chance to win it.
But I think what people should be looking for is the quality of performance on Saturday at Loftus. It is a team with confidence, but they are playing against the best team in the world, who are hurting. And it's not Romania they're playing. So keep that perspective, but...
Win, lose, or draw, the sun sets and rises tomorrow, so on Sunday. So let's keep perspective about this thing.
It does, and the Rugby Championship, from where that team was last year to where they are now, has been a success for us in the build-up to the bigger one, which is the World Cup next year.
Yeah. Should be a great weekend of sports, and thanks, Mark, for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Ed.